Best 80 Inspirational Being Alone quotes to inspire you. Some people like to be alone and others find it challenging to be alone. It is people's choice how they like to live. Here we have shared some inspirational being alone quotes, which will inspire you when you are alone. Table of content. FAQs about being alone. Is it okay to be alone? It completely depends on the person. He has to decide which situation is right for him. If he likes to be alone and can make himself strong from inside by being alone, then he can stay alone. If the person is afraid of loneliness, wants to be in the midst of people, then he can stay with people around him and remove loneliness from his life. Why shouldn't a person be alone? We do not live alone on this earth. There are millions of people like us. At all times, in every field, one person needs the help of another person. Whether it is in a family, in society, or in any workspace. Nothing is possible without the help of each other. If you stay alone, neither you will be able to help anyone, nor anyone will be able to help you. And most importantly, not everyone likes loneliness. Those people don't need to be alone. What are the benefits of being alone? Being alone is not challenging if you are strong enough to be alone. If you live alone, there are many benefits. As it helps you understand yourself, some people quiet their minds by being alone. You are not obliged to answer anyone. Inspirational being alone quotes. Nothing makes us so lonely as our secrets. Paul Tournier. It is strange to be known so universally and yet to be so lonely. Albert Einstein. When everything is lonely, I can be my best friend. Conor Oberst. I was never less alone than when by myself. Edward Gibbon. Your actions, and your action alone, determines your worth. Evelyn Waugh. Don't go away. I don't want to be alone. I can't stand being alone. Arnold Rothstein. All of our unhappiness comes from our inability to be alone. Jean de la Bruyere. A man content to go to heaven alone will never go to heaven. Boethius. Be able to be alone. Lose not the advantage of solitude, and the society of thyself. Thomas Brown. Benefits of being alone quotes. No one saves us but ourselves. No one can and no one may. We ourselves must walk the path. Gautama Buddha. The best part about being alone is that you really don't have to answer to anybody. You do what you want. Justin Timberlake. Autobiography begins with a sense of being alone. It is an orphan form. John Berger. I restore myself when I'm alone. Marilyn Monroe. There is a certain strength in being alone. Heather Duffy Stone. The strongest men are the most alone. Ibsen. I found an inner strength to fight for myself. It was clear that nobody else would. Tamina Durrani. Loneliness adds beauty to life. It puts a special burn on sunsets and makes night air smell better. Henry Rollins. To live alone is the fate of all great souls. Arthur Schopenhauer. Loneliness is the poverty of self, solitude is the richness of self. May Sarton. You only grow when you are alone. Paul Newman. A man is born alone and dies alone, and he experiences the good and bad consequences of his karma alone, and he goes alone to hell or the supreme abode. Chanakya. The only real progress lies in learning to be wrong all alone. Albert Camus. Being alone is better. Quotes. It's far better to be unhappy alone than unhappy with someone, so far. Marilyn Monroe. Solitude is the strength of being alone. It's where we become our best company. Jay Shetty. I like the idea of being alone. I like the idea of often being alone in all aspects of my life. I like to feel lonely. I like to need things. Robert Plant. It is far better to be alone than to be in bad company. George Washington. The strongest man in the world is he who stands most alone. Henrik Ibsen. Solitude is independence. Hermann Hesse. Quotes about being alone and finding yourself. Sometimes you need to take a break from everyone and spend time alone to experience, appreciate, and love yourself. Robert II. I have to be alone very often. I'd be quite happy if I spent from Saturday night until Monday morning alone in my apartment. That's how I refuel. Audrey Hepburn. One of the greatest regrets in life is being what others would want you to be, rather than being yourself. Shannon L. Alder. If you are never alone, you cannot know yourself. Paulo Coelho. We need solitude because when we're alone, we're free from obligations, we don't need to put on a show, and we can hear our own thoughts. Tamim Ansari. When you are lonely for a while, don't get restless. If you had born alone, you are going to die alone, then for some time you can certainly live alone. Amit Kalantri. Before meeting you, I didn't know what it was like to feel lonely. I never even considered myself to be alone. That's because when you feel lonely, it means that there is someone for you to miss. Yuki Obata. I've always believed that the only defeats and victories that matter in life are those you lose or win alone, against yourself. Mikhail Sebastian. You live by yourself for a stretch of time and you get to staring at different objects. Sometimes you talk to yourself. You take meals in crowded joints, you develop an intimate relationship with your used Subaru, you slowly but surely become a has-been. Haruki Murakami. The time you feel lonely is the time you most need to be by yourself. Douglas Coupland. Happy being alone. Quotes. I'm very happy alone. Octavia E. Butler. Life could be wonderful if people would leave you alone. Charlie Chaplin. Let your mind alone and see what happens. Virgil Thompson. Laugh and the world laughs with you, snore and you sleep alone. Anthony Burgess. I'm learning a lot about myself being alone and doing what I'm doing. Chantal Kreviazuk. Some people can't stand being alone. I love solitude and silence. But when I come out of it, I'm a regular talking machine. It's all or nothing for me. Celine Dion. Now I no longer wish to be loved, beautiful, happy, or successful. I want one thing and one thing only, to be left alone. Jean Rhys. Look at the sky. We are not alone. The whole universe is friendly to us and conspires only to give the best to those who dream and work. A. P. J. Abdul Kalam. I may climb perhaps to no great heights, but I will climb alone. Cyrano de Bergerac. I want to be with those who know secret things or else alone. Rainer Maria Rilke. Tired of being alone quotes. I don't want to be alone, I want to be left alone. Audrey Hepburn. Loneliness expresses the pain of being alone and solitude expresses the glory of being alone. Paul Tillich. I only go out to get me a fresh appetite for being alone. Lord Byron. Don't go away. I don't want to be alone. I can't stand being alone. Arnold Rothstein. We behave as if being alone were a problem. Peter Handke. Being alone on the moors is scary. As the rain clouds settle in, it makes you realize your place in nature. Dave Davies. Motivational quotes being alone. You are never alone. You are eternally connected with everyone. Amit Ray. What you are to do without me I cannot imagine. George Bernard Shaw. One of the most important things you can do on this earth is to let people know they are not alone. Shannon L. Alder. Everyone's moving on without me, into a world I don't understand. Sophie Kinsella. You do not have to be alone. The world never inflicts loneliness upon us. That is something we choose or reject by ourselves. Darren Shawn. The tragedy is not that we are alone, but that we cannot be. At times I would give anything in the world to no longer be connected by anything to this universe of men. Albert Camus. If we are alone, we become more alone. Life is strange. Paulo Coelho. In an instant, all will vanish and we'll be alone once more, in the midst of nothingness. Samuel Beckett. Being alone can be good. It's easy to find peace alone. But sometimes, being alone is a king of death. Dean Koontz. If you make friends with yourself, you will never be alone. Maxwell Maltz. Sad alone quotes. Nobody likes being alone that much. I don't go out of my way to make friends, that's all. It just leads to disappointment. Haruki Murakami. Being alone with fear can rapidly turn into panic. Being alone with frustration can rapidly turn into anger. Being alone with disappointment can rapidly turn into discouragement and, even worse, despair. Mark Golston. Being alone is very difficult. Yoko Ono. I don't like being alone. Cristiano Ronaldo. You're alone, as I'm alone, and the cruelest thing is that finding each other and saying, let us be alone together, won't solve a thing. Andre Aciman. I don't know what I am thinking. But I am alone. I am trapped in the net of the room. In the net of humans. I think maybe I am drowning in the net of humans. Karen Hesse. When the people you love are gone, you're alone. Keanu Reeves. Heart-touching lonely quotes. Never give importance to anyone more than yourself, because once that person becomes important, you become nothing. Viren. I care for no man on earth, and no man on earth cares for me. Charles Dickens. Being alone never felt right. Sometimes it felt good, but it never felt right. Charles Bukowski. Sometimes life is too hard to be alone, and sometimes life is too good to be alone. Elizabeth Gilbert. Loneliness is my least favorite thing about life. The thing that I'm most worried about is just being alone without anybody to care for or someone who will care for me. Anne Hathaway. I hate being alone. That's why I like being with my friends. We've got energy, we're social as hell. Lil Yachty. I've come home in love with loneliness. L.M. Montgomery. We're born alone, we live alone, we die alone. Only through our love and friendship can we create the illusion for a moment that we're not alone. Orson Welles. I can't imagine what my life was before. I can't imagine ever being without you for very long again. Anna Godberson. I hope you liked the above inspirational being alone quotes. Don't forget to mention the best line that you liked most from the above lines in the comment box below.